Hello there, and welcome to actioncorp TV. And this is our 4th episode. We are broadcasting live from Christ's Garage, and we've got the next 30 minutes worth of news about geek-related stuff, video games, computers, gadgets, all sorts of fun stuff. So, up on our first article tonight is going to be about Homebrew Dreamcast programming. And Sean has been doing a little dabbling in that area, and he's going to show us how he has managed to write applications for the Dreamcast, Sega's Dreamcast console. So, Sean?
All right, well, I mentioned this a little bit last show that they've made it fairly simple now to do your own Dreamcast applications. If you know any C programming at all, you can pretty much jump right in. The development libraries are already built and pretty well usable, and now they have tools that integrate directly into Microsoft's Visual Studio and Visual C++ to let you go ahead and build your apps, compile them, and send them straight to the Dreamcast if you have the broadband adapter for your Dreamcast. So what I've done is I've made a small application that prints some text to the VMU screen, the actual memory unit of the Dreamcast as it sits in your controller, and we're going to kind of run through that real quick and see just how that would go start to finish on doing an application. So the first image we're going to show is actually what you will bring up. This is what you'd see with the integrated application into Visual Studio. And the box.
And what is Visual Studio again?
Visual Studio is Microsoft's programming development environment for doing Visual Basic, Visual C, the compiler and everything. Actually, the stuff for the Dreamcast links in using a freeware compiler called GCC, but it lets you be able to use the Visual C IDE to actually program with because it has all the tools that do autocomplete.
Is it easy to install? I mean, is it just like what you see?
Yes, it's basically 2 files that you download and you run the setup and it's done. You jump back into Visual C and you have a new way to do a project for a Dreamcast project that you start.
And this is really great because Visual Studio is a great tool because it's very user-friendly and it makes programming much easier than if you were trying to use just straight GCC, which is a lot more low-level stuff. Is that right?
Definitely. If you use GCC by itself, you would have to know all the command line switches. You would have to make files, which are basically bash scripts that will do all the stuff for you and compile it and then scramble the binary before you can send it to your Dreamcast. Whereas the integrated tools that come into Visual Studio do all that for you.
That's very cool.
So again, we'll bring up the shot. This is your first new project window, and you can see what's circled in the red there is actually the Dreamcast project that you can click on now to start a new Dreamcast project. The next image we're going to show here, this is actually the sample. This is my program that I wrote here to draw to the VMU screen. You can see it compiles at the bottom of the screen that's circled in red, compile with no errors, no warnings. I basically just compiled a Dreamcast application, and now it's going to be ready for me to send up to the Dreamcast. So the next thing you'll see here is a program called IPSend, which is an application you run on your PC that actually shows, or sends rather, the application to the Dreamcast through the Ethernet adapter.
Okay, so...
And we have an image there that shows...
actually, we don't have the image, unfortunately, remember?
Okay.
That's right, the third image. But what's really... What this does, basically, is rather than having to burn a CD, all you're going to do is basically have a laptop connected to the Dreamcast Ethernet port, and you're going to upload a program that way?
That's correct.
And but how do you tell the Dreamcast to run the program?
Well, the IPSend program that you run on your PC, once it gets the IP address of your Dreamcast, which is very, very easy to set up, it's one setting. You configure the IP address of your Dreamcast, which is reported to you by the disk, which I have burned right here. This is the Dreamcast side of IPSend. This runs on your Dreamcast is basically a server that waits for the connection from IPSend on your computer.
I see.
Once it gets the matching IP address and MAC address of your Dreamcast, then you have a link from your computer to your Dreamcast, and you're ready to load up your application and fire it up to the Dreamcast. Once it finishes uploading, it automatically executes the program.
That's awesome.
And then you have to put in any kind of conditionals to break out. My program stops once you hit start on the controller. It breaks control and sends it back to the PC, so you're ready to upload another application. So I'm going to boot this up in the Dreamcast right now, and then we're going to send my application up. And basically after that, we'll switch to our Ghetto Cam, which is showing the VMU screen in our controller for the Dreamcast, and you'll see our logo pop up, which is what I've written the program to do. I'm pretty much new to C right now, so I'm kind of cutting my teeth on doing this too and learning C as I go along. So this shows you pretty well how easy it is if you have any kind of programming experience. If you're not leery about getting in and jumping in and learning things like that, you can do it. What you see on the screen right now in the window is basically the DC load IP version. It has my MAC address listed, and the 0000 for my IP address means that it's getting the IP address automatically from my laptop.
Go ahead and show that. There we go. Yeah, now we can see it.
And you can see that DC load is idle. It's waiting for me to send something to it. So I'm going to basically send the application to it through my laptop here real quick.
And he's clicking it now. Let's watch the screen. It says idle.
And you'll see it go blank here when I send it up. And after that, we'll send it. We'll jump over to the ghetto cam, and you should be able to see it.
Okay, I haven't seen it say anything but idle yet, so we'll check and see if the cable's connected just right. It's never going to work first time when you're hacking something.
Never. That's the beauty of it.
Hacking's all about figuring it out and troubleshooting. Still trying.
Having a little technical difficulty with the Dreamcast there.
Oh, here it goes. Link change.
Link change, that's good. So here we go.
And so this DC load program that's loaded on the Dreamcast right now it's like a second half of the part that it's going to take the data from your laptop and put it into RAM and then execute the program in RAM.
Exactly. That's exactly what it does. And that way it saves you from having to burn a CD after CD and wasting CDs basically.
Yeah, that's cool. So hang with us here for just a second. We knew this wasn't going to work the first time because when we were doing some demos of this after our show last week actually. We had the same problem where it wasn't quite going through all the way just right, and so we were like, well, gosh darn, it's not working, couldn't figure it out, and then it was like after the 5th time it finally worked, and it was really cool to see it work, but so we kind of expected that the same thing would happen.
All right, I'm going to try to do this here. I've never done this before. Hey, Sean?
Yes?
Has anybody done any really productive thing using this Visual Studio plugin thing? Like somebody said they wrote an app and that it was done in this?
No.
No,
that's what I was afraid of.
As much as I hate to say that, the guys that normally do the real programming for the Dreamcast they either program in Linux or they do something like that.
You put the laptop in your lap if it helps.
Yeah, it's not going to. I think it's this plug actually.
You got a bad Ethernet cable, that could be possible.
That could be.
Welcome to actioncorp TV, where things never work.
Exactly.
I think I've got one around here somewhere.
Oh, we might be able to come back to this then if it doesn't work.
Yeah, we're probably going to do that here in just a second.
Okay.
And
let's see if we're going to give this cable one more try.
It's linking up right now.
Okay, well that's good. Let's see.
So we'll give one more shot here.
Yeah, if it's a bad cable, then we'll come back to this in demonstration in a second if this doesn't work.
Here we go.
You said, "Here we go." That means it's.
Oh, there it goes. It's working. Go to the VMU.
And there's our actual text.
All that work.
Yeah, all that work just for that little bit of text. So that shows you it's not for the faint of heart. You do want to spend some time to learn C and learn how to send these things around. And to make a good application, something that is 3D or has a user feedback, anything like that, especially writing to the TV screen, text, the things that you would think would be simple, do take time to learn, but that's the fun of it. That's why we're geeks. That's why we're on ActionCorp.
That is so cool.
That's what we like to do.
ActionCorp, the official first ActionCorp VMU.
Exactly. Coming to stores soon, hopefully. So.
Did you have to draw the pixels for the letters, or does it just text?
Yes, I had to. Basically, I wrote a script that would take a text file where you drew it using the pound symbol, just like the old ASCII art that we used to do.
That's what I was about to say.
And would convert that over to the C code.
You wrote a VB program that writes a program.
Yes. I wrote a Visual Basic script that generates C code. So that's kind of using a hack for a hack.
If you go even further, you could say you use Visual Basic to write a C code that write a bunch of characters on pixels on a screen, and that was it.
Exactly.
That's all it did. Its whole purpose. Oh well, that's pretty darn cool.
We like it, yeah.
So, are we going to expect to see more advanced apps from you in the future?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want
to see something on this screen right here.
That will be the next forthcoming app will be something that actually draws to the TV screen, either 3D or just straight text somehow. I had done that a while back, but lost my source code. That's the way programming always goes. So so we have to start over again and do it using the new libraries. So we'll have something soon, though.
Great. Well, thanks for that, Sean. I think that's awesome to see that the development that you're doing there is actually going forward, and hopefully, like you said, next week maybe we'll see that ActionCorp logo up and high res on the TV screen, and we'll have that to show. So
I hope so.
all right, next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Macworld. This week on Wednesday, or well, I guess you could say last week, whatever. On Wednesday, the previous Wednesday, Apple attended, of course, the Macworld Expo in New York. It was at Macworld Expo New York 2002. On Wednesday, Steve Jobs gave his keynote early in the morning. I was watching live on the QuickTime stream the keynote. It lasted a little longer than normal keynotes. It was about an hour and a half. And I think it was a really good keynote. It wasn't all good news, though, so that was kind of interesting. There were a lot of new things. They talked about a lot of new products and a lot of new hardware products, software products. They gave demonstrations of the new Jaguar operating system and so forth, but they also had some bad news, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But on the hardware side, one of the first new things they showed was this, the new 17-inch flat panel iMac. It's really cool because it's just like the regular 15-inch flat panel iMac I use, the same specs all over, except it's 17-inch, but rather than just making it a regular 17-inch aspect ratio, they made it the really popular cinematic aspect ratio, so you've got a much wider screen than you do tall, and it looks really good, and it really works great with OS X's dock and other, and you know, the Mac OS is the way it always has a menu across the top and stuff, so cinema display on an iMac, fantastic. It comes out being $1,900 or $999 is the price. It's got the same specs as the regular one, G4, 800 megahertz. I think it does come with an 80 gig drive rather than a 60 gig drive, but of course it comes with the super drive, all the regular specifications. But just now, a new 17-inch. That was a real. Right after the flat panel iMac came out, they asked for the where's my 17-inch version? Well, now you can get one. So that's really cool. Another thing that was they talked about were some new iTools that were coming out in the way of iMac is what they call, or .Mac, excuse me. And this is really interesting because what they've done is they've replaced what used to be iTools with a new service called .Mac. And this is probably one of the biggest things about the keynote that was what you might consider negative. If you don't know, Apple has been giving away iTools free to Macintosh customers for years now, and it's always been a real big. It's always been something that Macintosh users could say, hey, this is something great that our company gives us for free. We get free disk space, we get free email, we get free postcard making software. All this stuff is done online, and they've had that for 2 or 3 years now. But it turns out that it's costing Apple a lot of money, and times are tough in the computer industry right now. So they're going to go and switch from making iTools totally free to a subscription model. And that's what .Mac is. It's a new subscription-based iTools. I think people have an introductory offer of $49 a year. So that's all you have to pay is $49 a year. You get access to all the same iTools you have, but they give you more. You get 100 megabytes worth of disk space now. They give you automatic backup software so that it automatically backs up your most important settings and documents to the iTools account, and a couple of other things like a virus checker, which isn't really necessary on a Mac, but it's kind of nice to have. What else did they talk about at the new Macworld? They talked about Jaguar, of course, which is incredibly cool. And I got some screenshots here to show of Jaguar, which I've got my lucky enough to get my hands on and take a look at. What you're seeing here, this is the new file sharing, or not file sharing, I should say, internet sharing tab in the system preferences. So now, with a single click, you can share your internet just like Windows XP can with its built-in internet sharing. You can do the same thing with Mac OS X Jaguar. So it's just simple as pushing a button and you're sharing it. The next shot, though, is particularly cool, and that shows that not only can you share the internet, which I think we're going to talk about, it's the software base station. Something that was missing a long time in OS X was the ability to use your airport card as a software base station. But now, as you can see in this configuration panel, not only do you have internet sharing, but the ability to turn your airport card into a software base station. So Craig, you're going to have to come over to my house sometime this week, and we're going to take a look at software base station and see if it works.
Oh yeah, we never did get that to work, did we?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. So
yeah, that's sweet.
Something that was missing for a long time in Jaguar, now they finally brought it back. So I'm really glad to see that. The other thing we're going to talk about, two more screenshots. One is another settings in the settings screen, which is called the desktop settings. Of course, you're seeing this on all operating systems. They have the ability to, where you can go and you can set what desktop you want on your, what picture you want, wallpaper you want on your desktop. What's particularly cool about OS X's, Jaguar's new implementation of this is that if you can see, it's kind of hard to read, but at the bottom there's a checkbox that says rotate. And you can set how often you want it to happen, every time you log in, every time you reboot your computer, or you can even set it to where it's every time, like every 5 seconds. And what it does is it does a cross dissolve. So in the background, you can set it to a folder of all your photos, and then every 5 seconds, your desktop image will cross dissolve between all the photos in that folder. And it's really cool. And you'd think it'd be kind of annoying, but I turned it on and left it on for a few hours the other day, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
And I mean, they use
Have you had any
OpenGL
problems
to do
with any? I mean, is it pretty stable, a build?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's pretty stable. I have run into a couple of little things, but you got to expect that with the build. Jaguar is not set to be released until September 24th, and that's one of the. Or I'm sorry, not September 24th. Gosh, August 24th. But that was one of the things they talked about at the keynote as well. Is the release date will be August 24th. So I was kind of hoping it'd be earlier than that, but hey, I can settle for another month and a half. That's not too bad. Finally, this is a screenshot of the new preview app. Now, OS X had a preview app before that lets you preview just about any file format. You drag it and it would show anything, Photoshop documents, TIFFs, JPEGs, whatever. But what's cool about the new preview app is that if you drag a whole folder worth of files, it'll open up a drawer on the side and let you kind of go through those and showing thumbnails, and it's got controls now with a toolbar at the top that lets you easily zoom in and out and all sorts of things, and it's really fast now. Like, for example, one thing the old preview app did that was really cool is that if you zoomed in real close on a bitmapped image, it would interpolate it and make it look all smooth, but that was always really slow. Now it's a lot smarter about that. It does it all, whenever you do a zoom in or a zoom out, it does it pixely, and then a second later cleans it up and makes it show it really cool. And I'd like to demonstrate this, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get a video screenshot of this, but I wanted to show it. But it's very cool, very nice, handy new technique. Another thing that was released on the same day as the keynote, Microsoft released the Windows Remote Desktop Client for OS X. So now OS X users can connect to terminal services and XP remote desktop services right from their OS X desktop. And what's really killer is it's just as fast as the PC version. So no more, you don't have, if you have access to a terminal server, you don't have to use VLC or VNC anymore to connect and have it be real slow. Now you can use real terminal service clients in OS X, and it's super fast and it's really great. I think Microsoft did a really good job on that client, so I'm really happy.
And Chris didn't get to test it, but I did get to test it, and it was very, very. Did you get to test it at all, Chris?
I wanted to test it. I was going by what you said about it being fast.
It was great. And when you put it down in the tray, it does show a little thumbnail of what the current screen is and stuff.
Oh, no way.
Yep, sure does.
Oh, that's sweet. So I've got to try that, Craig. Give me the opportunity. I want to check that out.
So first you get our .NET services from Windows by getting .Mac, and now you're getting our remote desktop application. I don't think that's right that Microsoft makes applications for the Mac better than they make for the PC platform.
Office is better for the Mac than it is for the PC.
I know, but what can you say?
What's interesting is that during the keynote, Steve Jobs said that, where did we get this name for .Mac? And he just flat out said that. He says, well, Microsoft's doing this thing .NET where it's web services, but you know what? They haven't delivered on it. But yet we've been delivering web services for years now. So that's why they decided to change the name from iTools to .Mac. It's because it's the Macintosh version of web services, but yet unlike Microsoft where you're going to wait 3 or 4 years for it to actually happen, it's here today. You've already got web services. So, and it's pay for web services.
I think we should play the video next.
The video? Of what?
The last thing, the Starfox.
Oh, okay. All right. So that basically covers my my bit about Macwrold. There was a ton more that went on. Something else I wanted to show was the thing called iTV, which is a TiVo device for the Mac and so forth. But we don't have time to show all those things. So we'll go ahead and stop the Macwrold coverage there. But check out our forums. We've got a lot of information in there about what took place there. And next up, we got some good news if you're a GameCube owner. If you are, you're most likely anticipating the new Starfox Adventure game that's coming out real soon. What's real good is that they've moved the release date up a week, so it's actually going to be coming out September 23rd. And we've got a video of Starfox Adventure we'd like to show right now. It's not a new video, but it's one that just shows off some of the graphics. So let's take a look. And I've also got, to go along with the video, I've got a photo I want to show, and this shows off one of the new techniques that they're using in games now called first shading. This is Fox McCloud on the Gamecube, as you can see. Real nice, good close-up of him. The graphics look awesome on this game, but what you'll particularly notice is that if you look close enough, his fur looks actually like each individual strand has been rendered or something. And that's a technique they call fur shading. Now, they have that on the Xbox too, right?
Yes, they do. Basically, they haven't called it fur shading, but they develop tools in-house, different game developers, to do things like that. And some of them try to use a form of bump mapping or a weird texture mapping to do this, but I think the Gamecube, the company that's doing the Starfox, Rare, has basically broke ground on this with rendering each individual fur or each individual hair like that, and giving it a way to move and react to its environment.
Unfortunately, you can't, since it's a still shot, you can't see it. But I mean, during the game, I mean, his hair will react to wind, and just awesome. It's going to look really great.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So, good thing you mentioned Xbox, because the next thing, and probably the final thing we're going to talk about, is we've got some new Xbox headlines that Sean's going to talk about.
Seems I'm always coming back to you with Xbox news and every episode
we like
of actioncorp
Xbox
TV,
news.
so I guess I'm going to become the X-Man of actioncorp. But Xbox development is still going strong, not just with actual game releases, but with guys that are developing their own stuff for your modded Xbox. We've had a couple releases this week of new emulators, new beta of SNES 9X. It just keeps getting better and better and better. Some things that the PC doesn't even have, as far as smoothing and anti-aliasing on the screen.
For the emulators?
For the emulators themselves, yes. So the games are actually looking better now than they did when you was running them on the dedicated hardware, when you had them on the SNES itself. They have ported the Sega Master System emulator SMS, and it is running now with sound better than it is on the PC. So we've actually finally got a home system now too that has an emulator that I've wanted forever on the Dreamcast, which is Hugo, the PC Engine emulator. Nobody seems to port TurboGrafx or PC Engine emulators to home systems that much.
Yeah, and you know what? I can understand why that would bother you, because knowing you are a huge TurboGrafx 16 fan. You always were. What was the name of that portable version of it?
The Turbo Express.
Turbo Express. That's right. You had one of those.
Yes, I had a Turbo Express. I had the Turbo Duo, and I had the original TurboGrafx 16 with the CD-ROM add-on. It was the first video game system I ever bought, myself. It was the first to have the CD add-on. It had some incredible games, a lot of things that were overlooked in the U.S. It has still, to this date, one of the best Castlevania games, Dracula X, which you can still only import from Japan. It's a super CD-ROM game, and it's just an incredible 2D side-scrolling Castlevania game, almost second only to Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation.
So tell us about this emulator.
Well, they ported Hugo. Basically, Hugo is the only open-source TurboGrafx emulator that's out that is a good running emulator. It's been ported to the Xbox, and they've been making updates already. It's already up to version 2. And they've added menus, they've added full screen, as much as you can get with the constraints of keeping the aspect ratio intact. It's running, a full 30 frames a second, which is great for the TurboGrafx graphics, for their actual on-screen graphics and things like that. It's getting stereo sound already, running, like I said, full speed, which is something they didn't do on the PC for quite a while when Hugo first came out. I don't think they have support yet to play CD-ROM games back, or Super CD-ROM games. It's only playing ROM images. But they're getting there, and they just keep doing port after port of great emulators from the PC to the Xbox. All these emulators integrate into your dashboard, which is the console application that first boots up in your Xbox. So when you have these emulators and these applications run on your Xbox, they just show up as options on your dashboard when you boot your Xbox.
Explain that a little more, because I don't quite get what you're saying. Like, I know when you first come up with your Xbox, you see the dashboard, and it's got the options like listen to music and set your preferences. Where exactly on that screen do new apps appear? I mean, I don't quite follow you there.
Well, basically, it's anywhere that the programmer wants to put them. The dashboard has a script file that controls every aspect of the dashboard as far as the placement and character that is going to show up for an option. So these guys are just adding in their emulators as options on the dashboard. So you come up with basically, one for music, one for memory management, and then you'll have a SNES 9X option or a Hugo option.
Cool.
When you boot that up, it looks for a CD that contains ROMs, or it'll look to a partition on the Xbox that has the ROMs, depending on how you've configured it. And there you go. You boot up your emulator, and most emulators now have escape buttons to get back out to the dashboard, so you don't have to reboot your Xbox anymore to run another emulator or another program.
Right.
So it's really becoming an all-in-one system, just like I anticipated and hoped it would.
And I think it's going to be pretty soon that we might be seeing some of that firsthand.
Yes, definitely. I'm still waiting on my mod chip. Anytime you order something from across the world, China like that, it's going to take a while. And it's only been a little over a week since I ordered it. So as soon as we get that and we get the Xbox modded properly and it is running, we're going to have a whole slew of things to show as far as hands-on demos, SNES 9X, Hugo, of course, with multiple ROMs, and the media player that's been in production for quite a while for the Xbox.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in seeing the media player.
Yeah, definitely, as well as the PC counterpart, Xstream, that lets you stream and copy media files from your PC to your Xbox, make it into somewhat of a TiVo type of thing, a digital media player. So
kind of like a media jukebox.
Everything, definitely.
That sounds sweet.
So we will definitely have that when the mod chip comes in. We will have hands-on, as well as maybe some clips of the actual modding itself, pictures or video of installing the mod chip in the Xbox.
Okay, well, we will look forward to that. Very good.
We got a couple minutes here. Here's something I was thinking about. Want to talk about too that you haven't talked about in a while, or at all, I don't think.
Oh yeah.
Yes, this is basically Tech TV covered an interview of Andrew Huang, who actually was the first guy to crack the Xbox encryption method. His findings, there is a link to the actual Tech TV.
Oh, don't try to start to watch the video here.
And you can watch it's about a 10-minute interview, but it's very interesting. The guy goes to MIT. He is very, very intelligent. Basically, their program consists of their professor buying the newest console systems at the beginning of their course, and their job is to crack the security in them to see if they can be used for other means than just playing video games. These things, the PS2 and the Xbox in particular, are getting so powerful that there's the slight scare of maybe them being used to run a device such as a bomb or something like that, or getting used by other countries. Wow. The PS2 even had a supercomputer licensing for export when it came out in Japan.
I remember that.
So basically, Andrew cracked the encryption. The Xbox came out in late fall 2001. They had cracked the encryption by February of 2002. As soon as he cracked it, his professor took him in a room, shut the door, got their attorney. This is big deals now. I mean, they were going up against Microsoft if he wanted to do this, but Microsoft agreed to give him permission to continue to do this. He built all of the logic circuits, all the boards that he used himself, and basically tapped into the bus of the Xbox and viewed the code that was going across the bus.
So apparently this guy's way smarter than he needs to be.
He is very, very intelligent. He has a very bright future ahead of him.
Wow.
It's very, very much worth checking out the video clip on Tech TV's website if you got the time to download it and watch it. It's very interesting.
Fabulous. Okay,
Yeah,
I want to see that sometime.
We got about like a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. What do you think we're going to do next week for the show? Any ideas?
I'm not sure. I was always really looking real close to what was going to be on this show. I knew Macworld was going to be a big thing for me.
I think we should have some videos of Jaguar.
Of what?
Jaguar. Some videos.
Jaguar videos.
Definitely.
If I can make, I'll try to get some video clips put together of Jaguar showing some of the new features. A lot of the graphical user interface has been updated in this particular version with a more refined look, more polished look. Hopefully I can show some of that stuff off. So yeah, that'd be one thing.
I'm hoping that I get to be able to do something with my DV cam, and I'll have a package ready.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely show that off. We might actually have some I thought about maybe doing. I've been getting a little bit into Linux here again lately. Maybe have some stuff about running Wine, which is a Windows emulator in Linux environment that can actually run native Windows applications through Linux. They pop up just like you're on your Windows PC, but you're actually running Linux. So it's not too hard to configure, not too hard to get running now. So we might have a little bit on that too.
Sounds like something our viewers would want to see.
Cool. Definitely.
All right, well, I think that's going to close out our show today. And we appreciate anybody who's tuning in. I think we had 2 viewers again, but we appreciate you guys tuning in. And check us out. Archives are on the web, actioncorp.net. Thanks for watching. That's a pretty good show, I think.